Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you are. Welcome to the community live stream. My name is Chuck Tomasi. I'm the ServiceNow guy with the cool bow tie. This is Tuesday, November 13th, 2018, and this is the show that brings you the answers in the community and explanations behind those answers so that you can find out what the thought process is, what the discovery is, how you can be a more effective ServiceNow developer and administrator, take that to your job, do a better job, get a bigger raise. Okay, well, I may be stretching the truth a little bit there somewhere, but the idea is that you get more than just the answers. You get the journey of discovery that goes on behind these things so that you can be more effective. Thank you for joining me today. Let's get started with the pre-roll. Appreciate you showing up. If you're out there in the YouTube chat just watching live, give me a shout out. Let me know where you're from. Good morning. Who's out there? Srujana. Good to see you. Good to see you. Hope you're having a wonderful day, or in some cases, you had a wonderful day. If you're watching on YouTube, I encourage you to subscribe to that URL you see below, and you should get a message that looks something like that. I got one from Twitch and from YouTube, so that you get content information not only for this stream, but for others as well when we go live with live broadcasts such as this, or we air a new episode of Tech Now, we'll post things to the community channel. You've got that information ready to go. You know what it's all about. If you find something helpful, useful, informative, maybe even mildly entertaining in this video, click the like button just below if you're watching this through the community, because I do take these videos and post them back to our community. That's a bit cyclical. A video about the community on the community. Well, that way I can include links right to the articles that we talk about. So anything you see mentioned here, any code that we write, will be available to you with just a simple click. So watching in the community does have an advantage. If you're watching there and you find something helpful, click the helpful link. I appreciate it very much. As I mentioned, we also do this on Twitch. You can subscribe over there as well, twitch.tv/NOWCommunity. It's got the last week or two of episodes, and that's it. That's it. If you want to watch there, good on you. If you're watching on YouTube, it will be around forever. I put in a playlist. We've got all the details there. So that's the way that we roll with the video, just streaming it out as many places as possible, wherever possible, and as much bandwidth as possible that I can hold up, that we can get this done. If you've got more than just a shout out, such as James did, James Hammond from the UK, good to see you online. Thank you for joining. Do this at 1 p.m. UTC every day that I can. Personal exceptions and business trips are also excluded from the lineup. So like Friday morning this week on the 16th, there won't be a show because I know that I will be on my way to San Jose for our Santa Clara headquarters. Be out there for that. Let me turn the phone off so it doesn't have a dead battery by the time I'm done. The community is where you want to post all of your questions, your issues, your inquiries, all the ServiceNow questions that you've got. Be sure to put them in the right place. This is my first broadcast of the week, so I'm going to go into the details on good community etiquette. One question per post. If you put one down with 10 questions, it's a little difficult to tell which question are we answering today, and if you've got some stragglers, this thing may never be marked correct. And people won't be able to find the content quite as easily. So one question per post, put in the right category, provide some context. Screen images are always helpful. You can read them yourself. I'm not going to read them all to you. So be a good citizen, be a good steward. Search first, see if there's an answer out there to something that you're already wondering. That's just good etiquette for any online forum or community. Learn what the lingo is, learn what the etiquette is before you go into that. I'm giving you some guidance here. Good morning to Suresh. How are you today? Good to see you online. If you've been around the community for a while, like James and some of the others have, consider turning them into blog posts. Questions you see, common answers that you provide. Say, you know what? I'd really like to reference this the next time it comes up, and say, here, I wrote a nice article with pictures and videos, step-by-step instructions, whatever it happens to be. Take advantage of that. I know I have over the years. I learned something new. I'm going to share it on the community. Mine just happens to be video most of the time, but that's where we're going. That'll do it for the community. Over at the developer site is developer.servicenow.com. That's right, we can do that. In fact, I don't really care for that backdrop. I'm going to have to get rid of that. Let's put in the live screen there. There, developer.servicenow.com, because that background, that static image is getting a little old. Developer.servicenow.com is where you can find free personal developer instance. You can see that under the Manage menu. If you don't already have one, you can request one with Kingston, London, or Jakarta. I almost said Jamaica. That's not a city. Any of the latest 3 releases we've got. JKL are the current 3 lineup. I just requested a London instance yesterday to do a little experiment, and then I threw it away. I don't need it anymore. You can do that. You can just pick it up, test it, run with it, do something, throw it away. You can wipe it. I did that as well. My experiment didn't work, so I wiped it out and tried it again. When I got it to work, I was on the road. So very useful sandbox instance that you can get for learning and testing outside of your organization's ServiceNow instances of dev, test, prod, whatever it may be. Also find all of the server and client and API scripting information over there under the API menu. You can find that as well. Let me make that just a wee bit bigger. There we are. There's free training, learning plans that you can get over at developer.servicenow.com. There's meetup information under the events, I believe it is. Yes. There's the share portal, lots of free information to share that is user contributed, customer contributed, some partner, all of it free. Doesn't have the same level of certification rating as our store, but then again, it is you can install it on your personal developer instance, try it out, make sure it does what you want before you put it onto your production instances. So the share portal is there. Other events out here, we've got Developer Days. Copenhagen. I love the way that they spelled that. They didn't spell that the way that the Americans would spell it. We have Now Summit New York going on this week. Lots of other events, including our developer meetups, which I have. Where is it? Have a new subtitle. I got rid of the static screen because I was always behind on updating the screen over at meetup.com/pro/ServiceNow dev program. You could find, we currently have 50 chapters. We're closing in on 13,000 members. I think when I started doing this video, it was, 8,000 or 9,000? We've almost doubled the number of members. Thank you very much. Congratulations to you. And we've grown, but there's lots more to be done. You can see from the map, there's still a lot of gaps where we could have some developer meetups, get together like-minded people around the ServiceNow platform. Developers, this is not a snug, this is not a ServiceNow user group, so you won't be shown demos of performance analytics or GRC or SecOps. This is where you get to pick the topic. This is your group. We facilitate it, we help run it, we enable you, but this is really something for the developers, by the developers, of the developers. It's a democracy of your own. You can find all of the recent meetups. There's one coming up in Las Vegas on the 27th. I plan to be there for that one. There's one in Calgary on the 21st, November 13th. We've got Minneapolis, December 11th. I'm going to make that a little bigger just for this show. There we are. December 11th in Orlando. Again, find all the details there. December 5th in Oslo. These are in no particular order. I have no idea what order they picked these. Maybe it's by some GUID. Who knows? This is not how I would have lined these up. November 14th, December 6th. They don't appear to be alphabetic. They don't appear to be. London on the 14th. So London's got to meet up London's got to meet up tomorrow. Wow, that's coming up fast. All right. Good on you. December 6th, December 4th. Lots of meetups coming up. So check this out. Get some notifications. Join the chapter that is near you. If there isn't one near you, then please go to either developer.servicenow.com or Meetup and let us know that you would like to start one. We will be more than happy to reach out and start that. Let's see. Suresh says, I am new to ServiceNow, and when I'm working on workflows, I am not able to create a task and task actions in core activities. you're not able to find them, make sure that you're using a task table, because not all tables enable all activities. If you're not on a table that doesn't support certain actions, there are things that are specific to tasks that you say, hey, I'm going to go create my own table, and then put a workflow on it. You may not see that. So there's a quick answer for you. Good morning, Lalit. Good morning, John. Good morning, Suresh. Lots of good information going on. We've got a community already started in the chat. So I generally try not to answer questions in the chat. Those are great questions for the community because the community can learn from that. There are many more people that are seeing that article, that are seeing those answers, that are seeing that discussion, that can participate in it, that can search for it in the community. So if you've got a question longer than just a, hey, how are you? Or Chuck, you forgot a semicolon kind of thing, please put that in the community. We also have, coming up tomorrow, Virtual Agent on TechNow. TechNow is coming up on 6 years old. I can't believe it's been going for almost that long. That's crazy. You can find that over at the bit.ly link there, TN58Reg. Stacey Bailey will be covering whole bunches of information about Virtual Agent if you want to find out how you can automate some of those high volume, low complexity tasks and let people self-serve them through the chatbot. That's what Virtual Agent is. It's a chatbot that lets you take action and do workflow and create requests, provide answers that offload some of the work from your live agents. Now, if it gets complex, you can always turn it over to live agent. I'm not going to say too much more. That's really her thing that she's going to talk about. Good morning, Weibach. Hope I'm saying that remotely closely correctly. We also have, come on, keyboard. Where'd it go? I'm on that one, so let's go to this one. Knowledge coming up in May 5th through 9th in Las Vegas, California. No, Nevada. Las Vegas didn't move. Trust me on that one. It's just my early morning brain trying to get into gear. Las Vegas, Nevada, same place we were for the last several years, plus or minus one or two. I think 17 was in Orlando, but 13, 15, 16, 17 were all in, 18 were in Las Vegas. It's hard keeping the brain going. I'm like two clock cycles ahead of, the brain is 2 clock cycles ahead of where the mouth is. So occasionally there's a buffer overrun. Come on, I'm talking to a technical audience. If you want to get your great information, hands-on labs, networking, all kinds of wonderful, wonderful stuff at Knowledge. It was funny because I was watching some of the older TechNow videos looking for some information, and I think we did an ad for Knowledge 14 or 15, and it was interesting. Oh, it said Knowledge 15. We're going back to Las Vegas. That was the first year we were at the Mandalay Bay. And I went, oh my gosh, that video is 4 years old already. It's kind of fun. So yeah, there's a bit of change that happens in these videos over time. Good morning, Carolyn. Today is my first anniversary work on ServiceNow. Oh my gosh. And you've been watching these videos almost since the beginning, if not from the beginning. I thought you had been around a lot longer. Congratulations. Happy anniversary to you, Carolyn. That is great. Somewhere in here, I don't know the exact date. I would have to look, but this is about my 10th anniversary. So we're growing together. And you know what? There's always something new to learn. You will learn a lot at Knowledge. Let me move on from that so that we can get going. Wow. I'm caught up in the pre-roll. Let's finish this off. Customer Success Center, if you want to be wherever you are on your ServiceNow journey, whether you're just starting out, and you're a brand new customer, or you've been using it for a long time, there is information over at servicenow.com/success where you can find lots and lots of best practices and implementation guides and to help you on that journey. So I encourage you, take a look. There's new information showing up all the time. So if you haven't been there in a while, take another look. You'll find something interesting, something useful. And any code that we write today will be available in the GitHub repo that you see right there. If I have a folder full of code, it will be in a dated folder with today's date on it. I will also include that in the description of the YouTube link, or the YouTube description, and on the community in a direct link to that folder. So Many ways you can get there. If I do start writing, you don't have to rewind the video and go, what was that bit.ly link? I'll put this slide back up to help you. At least I'll try to remember. Or you can ping me in the chat and say, Chuck, what's that bit.ly link for the code, the GitHub repo? We'll get that. With that, let's get started in the community. This is completely unscripted. I don't know what's going to come up, but I do know a general format. I have a lot of things that I've collected over the last several days that I'd love to talk to you about. Hopefully we'll get time to get to those. So I will probably just do 1 or 2 new questions. Let's start with the unreplied questions. So we've got generation and condition script in execution plan task. Ooh, haven't used execution plans in a long time. Let's find out what they're trying to do, and perhaps we can help, or at least lend a hand, or guide them in the right direction to documentation. Hi, how to fetch the catalog task form details, request number details in the generation script within an execution plan task. I am able to fetch the RITM number, but not the request number details. If you can get to the request item details, I don't know too much about execution plans. Let's see. Execution. It just seems wrong. Looking for execution. Execution plans. Let's look up total time, IT service general. Let's see if we can find something in IT service. It's probably going to be network in here. And in the task, assess or scope task, says there's a script. Now, what do you have access to in the script? Is there an advanced checkbox? There's a condition. Generation and condition script in execution plan task. The generation script. Why don't I see a generation script? Available variables. Is it part of the form that I don't see? Configure form design. Let's take a quick look at the form designer. We're exploring. I don't know. I haven't used execution plans in a very long time, probably close to 10 years. There is a generation script. Let's put that down here underneath the condition, just for fun. Hopefully I'm in the global scope. If not, this will be fun. Okay, here is the condition. I still don't see the generation script. Must be controlled by a UI policy, perhaps? Should be right above the short description. Oh, reload the form. I used the form designer, not form layout. And the generation script, does it have a template in it? Generation script. Sometimes if we hover over the label, we can see we don't have a template. So this is where we go to the docs. Okay, generation script. Password generation. Generation script example, summary set, line database, short description. Let's look for execution plan. Typically in the documentation, it'll say you have access to current, or you have access to this, or you don't have access to that. Maybe you have to look it up. If you've got access to the RITM, then odds are you can dot walk your way to the request. So execution plans, that's the theory I'm going on. And let's see if create an execution plan tasks. About this task, procedure, generation. There's nothing in here about generation. Let's go down to the side, see if we can find anything more about the details of that. It'll be expanded all the way out. Creating execution plan tasks. That's the same page. Task 1, request item. Okay, so request 2 is one PC, use several tasks. There's still nothing about the, oh, wait, here we go. Generation, there's nothing on there because it's not a normal field. Okay, I don't see any documentation on that. I don't see any documentation on that particular field and what objects you have access to. You have access to. What if you do have to the request item, you can always time. Item is not spelled the same way as time. Item, you can always dot walk your way to the parent request. Parent request with something like Our item equals current var rec number equals item dot request dot number. Something like that. You know what? Let's put that in the little Cody box so that we don't get that crazy double spacing nonsense. JavaScript. I did that. See, I got that. I don't want that. Make that a little smaller, then make that a little bigger. I did that with this icon. If you haven't seen that, if you're new to the community, we've got an icon that allows you to insert code. Slap it in there. It comes up nicely formatted as code. And then people can copy and paste that. Easier to do than if it's just in line with all the text because crazy stuff happens. All right, that's one. Don't know if I actually got anywhere near an answer on that one, but we'll see. On to the next one. We got a couple things in the inbox I want to take a look at as well. Let's go to the unreplied. Quick question, can we dynamically create dictionary entry /fields for a table using script? The answer is, I don't know. I mean, theoretically, yes, you could inject records into sysdictionary. I'd like to know the use case a little bit more because dynamically changing your data model can be an interesting beast. I don't know that simply putting records into sysdictionary actually creates them at the dictionary level, at the database level, excuse me. I mean, we can try. We could try. Let's look. That's what a personal developer instance is for. The table is sys_dictionary. I would take an example first and go to sysdictionary. Find out what the minimal things are to make a string field, for example. sysdictionary_list. Again, good question for the community. You'll see what people come up with, and maybe if they ran into this and ran into problems. I don't know what potential problems would be there. So let's take a string field, for example. You need a name, which is, excuse me, come on. That is the string field class. I want this. You need to pick a table, which is technically using the field name. That's why I always show these fields. They don't always represent what the label says. The type is type. It's actually internal type, excuse me, internal_type, and it's a reference field. So it gets a little crazy. You're going to have to know what the reference to the field type is. Then the column label, which I believe is just column under label. The column name is element. So the field names are different than the label names you see on the screen. I am going to do a show XML on here. And let's just copy and paste this part, sysdictionary to /sysdictionary. Bring up my editor so that I can see that in there. And there's really only a few things that I need to make this happen. Get rid of my welcome screen. If somebody knows how to stop the welcome screen from coming up every time, I would very much appreciate it. And let's go write a background script. We need to attach it to something, yes? No, because it's going to be attached by the table. But you've also got labels and attributes and whatnot down here. I would, at a minimum, recommend a label as well. This is not for the faint of heart. I'll tell you this right now. But the real question is it a usable field? Does it even put it on the form layout, or is that up to you? What do you want to do with this field? It seems like it's a quick question, but it's not a quick answer. So I am going to attempt to do this. Var dictionary GlideRecord equals new GlideRecord sysdictionary. Keeping that XML around as reference. We want var.newRecord, dict_gr.newRecord. Let's also do a dict_gr.name equals our favorite incident table. gr.element equals scripted string. That's the name of my field. dict.gr.internal type equals, we're going to need that reference, which is internal type value string. How is that a thing? Interesting. Maybe it's a choice. I always thought it was a reference to the glide element table. Anyway, what else do we need? We don't need a length. It'll default to 40. We don't need mandatory read-only. We need, what else do we need? We don't need attributes. Dictionary active is true. That should be defaulted to true. What else do we need? We don't need max length. We got the name as the table. We've got, I don't know, what's going to happen? Oh, we could probably use a label up here, right? Does it include a label? What was the name of the label field? Column label was column label. Let's just put that in. Okay, back here, dict.gr.column label equals scripted string. dict.gr.insert. So theoretically, I'll have a dictionary entry, but I don't know if I'll have a usable field underneath. Scripts background, global scope, paste, run. And it says, I'm going to read some of these interesting messages down here. Slow business rule, I don't care about. Replication is not enabled on this table. Incident is not queuing replication. Column already exists, not adding. I should have called it u_scripted string. Oops. Silly me. But it did insert one into sys dictionary and sys documentation. So let's go to the incident table. Incident.list, pull one up. I don't expect that it put anything on the form. Usually doesn't when you go through the dictionary, but who knows. Scripted string. Ooh, it is on the form. We must have some business rules or something in the background that are doing some work. Okay, my new field on record 10,011. Save it. Yeah, apparently it's a usable field. So yes, you can. But just because you can do something doesn't necessarily mean you should do something. But don't we need to specify table? I did specify table. That was done in name. If you watched the, let me show you the configure dictionary entry for that new field. The table label is actually a field called name. That's why I right-clicked and said show name on a lot of these. Column label is column_label. Column name is actually called element. So that's why I had the XML there, so I could do a mental mapping of what field and what is it actually called and what value do I need in there. See, this is a reference field. So this leads me to wonder, if I do a show internal type, it is a reference to sysglide object, which is where I would expect it to go. But the sys_id was string? Is that another one? Like default view is the sys_id is default view? All right, I must look. Sysglide object. Name equals string. No, that's bizarre. That is an actual sys_id. Copy sys_id. I should have had something more like this. How did that work? Okay, go back. Go back. One more. On here, it says type string. Show internal type. Does it show the value? No, it doesn't show the value. The value is string, but if I do show XML on this record, I'm going to start using this more. internal type right here. Shouldn't it show the value? Because when you do that on a normal reference field, it shows, what does it show on a different field type? Let's go to caller, configure dictionary. That is a type of reference. Yep, type is reference. And if I do show XML there, this is another one of those, that's strange mornings. Well, we're all learning together. Internal type is reference. How is this not a sys-ID? It's a reference field. That is really bizarre. Because look at any other reference field. Like if I just take caller here and I say, tell me about caller. It says incident caller ID is on, stop moving around. Table incident, field is caller, type is reference, points to sys user. And if I do a show XML here, a little further, my menu's too big. My font is too big and the menu won't fit on this particular one. Too many UI actions. And I go to caller ID, you get your display value, then you get a sys-ID on a reference field. How is the dictionary not a sys-ID? That's our question of the day. I don't know if anybody knows the answer to that, but that is a... Anyway. Very strange. I'm left with a perplexed moment. I'm going to have to ask one of the older timers. I'm an old timer, but I got to ask one of the fossils. How is Sys Dictionary getting away with those types of non-sys-ID references? I wonder if I go to sysGlideObject.list and I do a show XML on the list. Okay, so sysGlideObject, sys-ID, it has a sys-ID. Scalar type is string, whatever that means. That's the name of the field. And that's the underlying database type. Hey, Tyler Jones created an audio field in 2014. I miss Tyler. Tyler was a good guy, very smart. This is interesting, looking at all these names in here that aren't with the company anymore. Does this one have a sys created by Mate, Tyler, Don Goodliff, Glide.mate, admin. No, get some real... Sys created by FredX. I wonder if Fred Luddy had an alias or an alter counterpart when he was doing code check-in one day. Anyway, that was fun. Let me quickly take a look at the inbox. See what we've got. We've got some conversations that are going on there. I'll fill you in on the backstory as much as possible on some of these, or maybe we're not even part of these discussions anymore. What is the use of JellyScript, when and where to use? JellyScript is covered in Tech Now episodes 1, 2, and 3. I just happen to have a subtitle. I forgot I just had it there. If you want to find all of these, you can go over to ServiceNow-Tech Now and find that information there. Jelly is the original form layout language used in ServiceNow. We've since changed that to a bunch of AngularJS underneath the hood as of UI 16, I believe it was. But when you look at a lot of these forms, they used to be defined by Jelly directives. And you can still use Jelly for UI macros, for UI pages. Those are the two main use cases. There are a few other places you can use them. Formatters is another place, but ultimately that's just a UI macro underneath reference, designator, decorations. You can use them there, but again, that's pretty much formatted in the UI macros. And Jelly is not the easiest thing. It's pretty flexible, but it's actually, you can use 3 different technologies in there. Jelly, Jexel, and JavaScript, the 3 Js. I encourage you to go look at the episodes 1, 2, and 3. So they were asking about that and saying, where can it be used? Said, I find your answer worthy. Please close the thread and remove from the unanswered list so anyone can easily find the answer. Yeah. So Priyanka provided a very nice answer with some documentation on that, including a reference to the first episode of Tech Now. So there was a question there. Can you help me understand the difference between AngularJS and Jelly? And I said, well, what specifically are you looking for? And that question was not answered yet. Lisa replied to me around upgrade from Kingston to London problem. This is an older thread from a while back, and apparently we're just getting to it. 5 days ago. 5 days ago was Thursday? Thursday. And did a number of things. I can't even remember what this thread was about. I apologize. They were asking about, old value and new value. They upgraded from Kingston to London, and a client script wasn't returning the old value and new value. And I said, does this script work the way you expect on a standard form? Because they said it's not working on Service Portal. I said, is it or was it ever working on standard form? I haven't been able to reproduce the problem. Every time I use new value and old value on a reference field, I get the old value and new value when I plug them into an on-change client script. It says, no, it works the same way it does with Portal in the London instance. And I said, here's the script I have on my caller ID field on incident, and it works fine. So the problem I'm having is it always shows an initial value of the field from when the page loads. So I have field A on load, then you change it to B, the old value is A. Then if you change it to C, the old value is still A and not B. That's because it never, no, that's not the way it's going to work. For London and my developer instance of Kingston, our corporate instances of Kingston, it works differently. The old value would previous value of the field. So the second time you change the value to C, the old value is B and not A. Are you doing a save between these changes? Are you doing a save between these changes? That's an interesting... I am going to see what happens here. Let's go to... I believe I still have that client script on the incident table. Let's look at configure, client scripts, and it's probably sample, incident, create child incident. It's going to be false, so let's just show matching on that if it's around. Come on, stick around menu. There we are. Check active, simultaneous update alert. Well, I can always create it very quickly because I still have my code up here. Let's just create a really quick client script. New client script. On changed caller. Changed caller. There we are. On the incident table, we'll make this both on change of the caller field. Then in the script, I'm going to put that. So it shows me the old value and the new value. Go back to my incident table. Oops, that's the client script new record. Incidents. Open this. It starts out as Chuck, which we'll change it to Fred Luddy. And CB640D is me. CD 2005 is Fred. And if I then change it to Don Goodliff, it's still Chuck sysid. So the only known old value that it has would be is if you saved it. Again, on my PDI London, without a save, without saving between, I change Chuck to Fred, then Fred to Don, and the old value remains Chuck, always, until it's saved. Then it becomes whatever the previous new value was, e.g. Don. Okay. Might just be a clarification. I've never seen this thing change insofar as I've been using it. Just trying to have to live with being late to this every morning. Shane, you're going to have to catch up sooner or later because daylight saving was a couple weeks ago now, or at least a week and a half. Anyway, stop changing your clocks. Got to stop that nonsense. I had one more in the inbox, I think. Let's go back here. I know I answered at least 2 of them. I don't know why I closed the inbox tab yet. 2 in the inbox. Something new has come in while we were working because I answered 2 out of the 3. Generation and condition script in execution plan task. Oh, getting back to the thread we had about the execution plans. How to fetch the catalog task form details, request number details, and the generation script with Did I answer this? I did. Okay. Thanks for the response. I tried all the possibilities, but no luck. Item equals current request item dot number and rec number. Okay, this will get you the number of the request item. Wait, what table is this running on? What does current represent? You can find out by doing something like this, and then look in the log file, the log table, for the corresponding messages, bonding message. I would do something like gs.info execution plan task is working on current.getDisplayValue. Make that small. Okay, back to my notes. Multiple glide records to a ref field. Someone had written a script, and a bunch of people were taking various attempts to fix up the script to make it work. And I threw my hat in the ring. Adding things like glide value. A shortcut you can use. This part always is something that I know a lot of people don't use. But they're doing a glide record and looking for a sysid. Now, a couple notes that I have about this script. I'll make that a little larger for you. Actually, I'm going to copy and paste that out to here. Probably won't wind up in the repo. Well, maybe it will. Yeah, here, we'll do this. Let's do old way. And then, and that. Put this in as better way, shortcut way. The shortcut way would look like var gr2 equals new glide record on your table, which in this case is CMDB CI add-ons. Then instead of doing an add query on a sysid and then doing a query and then doing if gr next, okay, you can sum that up in just 2 lines and just say if gr2 dot get on gr1 dot parent, get value parent, uparent. Okay, everybody matches, everybody matches. So what this says is go get the value of this parent. I prefer, in most cases, almost all cases, to use get value. It cleanses the data from just, this is an object. You got to remember that u_parent is an object. It contains properties, which include the value. And in most cases, you will get the value. And some people will say, well, I can get the value by doing a toString. Fine, you can try it that way, but that's not a universal best practice. The best practice when you have an object is to use getters and setters, and the proper getter in this case is to get value. That gets you the sys-ID, and it comes back as a string, not as an object. Well, technically a string is an object, but we won't get into that. Okay. If all I'm after is the sys-ID, then all I'm going to get is potentially one record. So go get it. Get is a nice shortcut method that defaults to the sys-ID. If I'd wanted to use a name instead of a different field instead of sys-ID, for example, name, I could put name. If perhaps u_parent contained a string and it was a name. So I could put other arguments in there. If I'm only going after one record, I like the get method. It's a shortcut. It says, hey, go try. Go try. I don't have to set this up. If the query is more complex than just one field, one value, it's not a unique ID or not a unique value, where I want all the records were active is true, then get isn't going to work. It would get me the first record that is active equals true, that meets that condition. So I am going to leave that in the repo. We'll save that off after the broadcast is done. So that's if you've been watching this for a while, you know that get value, I can't state it enough. Start using that instead of just dot walking to your values in your objects. gr1.getValue u_parent, gr1.getValue, and you will be sure to get those values. Set value is also a great idea. I don't use it quite as often as I should, but rather than saying rec.number equals current.number, should be saying, now that's an object to an object. Not going to be the end of the world in that case. But if you want to make sure that you're getting just the value of the number field, you copy set value of number and get value of number. So anyway, you could do that in one sentence. Where are we going? Notes for the show. We have a follow-up. I asked about this to one of our developers, and I said, hey, is there a way to get a readable query string on a condition? Now, if you haven't seen conditions before, I believe I have one in my application. We were messing around with it last week. My CLS application, I believe the item table has a condition field on it now. I don't know why, but it does. Let's find out. No, I have a table, which is the table name, and I thought I had a condition. Field name is field. Do I have more fields than are on here? 18 of 18. All right, let's make one. Since I have a table name, I can create a condition field of type conditions. Conditions gives you the condition builder. And when I save that, it goes and creates this. I'm going to go to my CLS application. These are really fun. These are really fun because I can, maybe I put it on the Chuck's table. I can make data-driven applications. These unleash a lot of power. And I talked about this on, I think it was Friday's show. I included a script that helps you identify which records match these conditions. I just want to make sure I've got the right table, that I'm not already implementing, I'm not re-implementing something that I already implemented. Nope. Okay, that was a reference thing. And here I have my table, a field that I want to put this on to set and condition. Now, this condition field needs to reference or depend on that table. Because if I say, hey, tell me about the table incident, nothing happens down here. I would expect fields to start appearing. So let me save that. I am then going to go to the dictionary, configure that. Condition fields, very powerful. You can add them. You can use them. You can leverage them. If I go to the advanced view for that dictionary entry, and now I have a few more things, including this dependent field section. Say this field depends on the table field. Done. I may also choose to add some attributes. I like to add attributes here because I know I can get my hands on all of them. They are documented in the documentation over at docs.servicenow.com, and some of my favorites are in here as well. Dictionary attributes, 1T for attributes. well, at least one T put together. Dictionary attributes, you can find them here. How do you add an attribute? Blah, 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 blah. Lots of good stuff. Meanwhile, back in the dictionary entry, I'm going to set readable equals true, comma, no truncate, comma, show row count, I believe it is. I always forget that one. But let's say show condition count. Enables or disables the condition count widget to preview how many records would be returned to set condition. Show condition count. That's why I look them up. Show condition count equals true. The other one, what's the other one? Anyway, we'll get there. The reason I put readable equals true is because these are nice and readable. It says 55 records matched. That's the show condition count. Active is true, and see, this is now dependent on this. Ignore the field for a moment. Priority is one of 1, 2, or 3. You can keep going just like you normally would. And the value of this is you now have conditional data. You could say, hey, this record only works if this condition is met. Let's say caller is me. Okay, and I save that record. Now, the question on this query was, how do I make that readable? I can make it readable in the list entry. Let me just personalize this list real quick and put the condition out there. It's readable on the list because I said readable equals true. Active equals true and priority in blah, blah, blah. And otherwise, this would show up as an encoded query with lowercase active equals true up caret priority in parentheses 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's nice and machine readable. It's an encoded query, but it's not something humans can read. I like readable equals true if it's going to appear on a list, on a report, something of that nature. The question came in is, how do I make that readable in a log? And in order to do that, it has to be global. That's the short answer. There is a global class. Oop, I'm in the wrong tab. There is a global scriptable class that you can get to called glide query breadcrumbs, and then glide readable query. You give it a table, not sure why the table is required, and the query string so that it comes out like this. I am going to challenge the authority that gave me this and just see what happens if we try to do this in a scoped business rule. Let's do a business rule, because what's the fun if you don't challenge the answer you're given? You'll never learn. They're going to be right and this will fail or not. In fact, we don't even need a business rule. We can go to scripts background and run this in my scope and just say, here's my query. Same thing he gave me. And I say, run that, and it says, glide query breadcrumbs is not allowed in scoped applications. There is not currently a scoped equivalent, but if I go to global, I get this nice output. Active equals true and color equals Chuck Tomasi instead of sysids and up carets and whatnot. So you can do this. I suspect most of you will be using this in global. If not, you can always put it in a script include in the global scope, make it available to all scopes, and then call that script include. So let me give you an example of that. I am going to get out of Studio real quick, go to the global scope, make a script include. Oops, let's try typing that in the right area. System definition, script include. New script include. This will be, it's in global, so it will run. And I can say display encoded query. And that is a terrible name because it has spaces in it. So I can say display encoded query. That's a good name for the function. What do we want to call this thing? CLS demo. There we go. Better. Then the function in here will be display encoded query. I don't know what the table name needs to be there for, but I'm going to pass it anyway. Table name and query string. If I pass this into a global function and call it, I could just return that, I suppose. Then my other string, return, oops, try that again. Get encoded query. Get readable. How about that? Get readable encoded query. I'm going to copy that. Make sure I get my trailing comma on there. Format that all out. It's not formatting. Why not? What did I miss? Function. That would help spell it right. Return. Here, we'll just do var str equals. There's one too many of those. And then we can say return str. Put in our table name here. Put in our query string there. Not in quotes. Shift align. Submit. I gotta remember what I called this. CLS demo.getReadable encoded query. That, make sure. Let's make sure that is also callable by all application scopes. There we are. Now if I try this trick to go to scripts background and I say var str equals new CLS demo, get readable encoded query string, incident. Let's just take the same example that we had in here. So I don't have to type all this out, and we can verify that we get the same result. Same string, same string. Pass that. gsinfo str. First verify that it runs in global. Ding, active equals true, color equals Chuck Tomasi. See if it runs in my CLS scope. Execution script was granted. CLS demo undefined. You know why? Because I need to say global. Right there. Global.cls demo. Now it will work. Ding, active equals true, color equals Chuck Tomasi. So even though that particular class is not available in a scoped app, you can put it in a script include that is available from a scoped app. So handy dandy little workaround there. So follow up on that. We got it right. Hooray. Someone else asked about the read-only role SNC read-only. This is sort of like a one-way mirror that you can see through one direction, but it reflects off the other direction. And they said, I have to grant some issues to access all tickets in a read-only mode, but open a new service request using Service Portal. Those two are mutually exclusive. You should look at using two different accounts. If this is for an auditor or something, the only thing they're going to be able to do is read. The only thing that I know that they can write to is the log files as they run, because those are typically run as system anyway. So it's going to be tracing where they went, like the event log will say, hey, the user opened this form. Okay. They're actually writing to records. It's not completely read-only, but they won't be able to write any incidents. They won't be able to write any tasks. They won't be able to write anything. They won't be able to create new or update records. All the forms will be in read-only, and you're pretty much sitting there with, you need an account, usually with like ITIL access, that they can use to do that. So two different things. S&C read-only was originally used for the use case of auditors who come in and they want to see evidence, but you don't want them potentially mucking things up. You need to grant them access. You can give them admin and S&C read-only. They will have access to all kinds of stuff on the system, but only in a read-only mode. So that may be handy for you. You may want to give them ITIL and read-only. You may want to come up with a special role or give them a series of roles. I am going to end there. It's the top of the hour. We'll leave some goodies for tomorrow, so we'll do that just so I know where I stopped. And thank you very much for joining me today. It has been a wonderful and fast hour. I look forward to seeing you again here tomorrow on the community live stream, where, who knows, we're going to have to do last minute preparation before going into the virtual agent discussion. And I will see you here tomorrow. Remember, if you learned something, be sure to share it, and others will find it helpful. Till then, take care. I will see you tomorrow. Bye.